What's up, everybody? This is Wes with the Salty Golfer, and we are starting a new playlist on our YouTube channel called The Swing Direction with my good buddy Ken Rollman. He is with Shrixon. Ken, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about what this show is going to be about. And Ken, first, why don't you just introduce yourself, tell them who you're with and what you do, and then we'll dive right in.
Sounds good. My name's Ken Rollman. I'm a territory manager here in Myrtle Beach with Srixon Cleveland Golf and also represent Nike.
Awesome. So Ken was my fitter. I'm on staff with Shrixon, and they take the greatest care of me. I love working with this brand, and I love working with Ken. And we thought it would be really cool to do something for the average golfer.
Yeah, the everyday golfer.
The
right?
everyday golfer.
Everyday.
Help them understand stuff that maybe they don't. And it's going to be a lot of TrackMan based stuff, scientific stuff, but not dumb it down, but break it down so maybe you can understand. I know me as an amateur golfer, things work for me throughout my bag, but I don't always understand why it works. And this is kind of where Ken can come into play, and he can help understand why things do what they do, right?
Yeah, I think the big theme is to try and take, a lot of the complex information that's out there and then give the viewers the ability to apply it to their game, like to be able to go out and actually take the information and do some testing and how to do that, like how to go about doing it to help their game.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing right now. There's so much information out there. So
It
being
can be
able to
overload, right?
yeah, just
Yeah.
total overload. So the goal here was to try and teach people how to apply it. I could tell you that even just on my own game, I spent years just working on taking the information and understanding how these things work, but then how to apply that to your
Sure.
game. I think that's the hardest part. I mean, there's a lot of people that have a lot of information, but they don't know understand what to do with it.
I know for me as a golfer that's been playing 15, 20 years, I still don't understand everything, and a lot of that stuff is it's overload to me too. And like I said earlier, I want to know why something is working, because if I can figure out why it's working, then maybe it takes me to the next level or the next step in my game to figure that out. And that is for so long as a golfer, like a self-taught golfer. I haven't had a ton of lessons or anything like that, and I didn't get fit till I was 44 years old.
Yeah.
So, I knew what a good shot felt like, but I couldn't tell you why it happened.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that was what was so cool about getting fit properly is, first of all, the whole fitting process, the way you did it, completely blew my mind, because I was thinking that we were just going to base it off how I swung a golf club, but you based it off what my body type was. So dig into a little bit of that for me.
Yeah, I mean, I did a case study, a little over 800 golfers. It took me about 2 years to do it. I mean, these are tour pros to 30 handicap. And the first thing I wanted to find out was how quickly a golfer reacts to when we make a change in a golf club. For example, the length, the lie angle, the flex of the shaft. And it was between 3 and 5 and 4 and 6 swings, so very quickly.
Yeah.
And I tell people the reason why that was, and what I found out in that study, we do a lot of things very subconsciously. For example, if you and I were throwing a ball back and forth, we don't think about that. We just do it, right?
Sure.
Someone throws a ball at you, you just catch it. And in the golf swing, we have a lot of swing thoughts. However, we do a lot of things subconsciously as well. So we react to the golf club, how it's coming through the turf, and we could do that positively or negatively.
Sure. So when you say subconsciously, so like when we're swinging and if we might be over the top or something is wrong with the swing, subconsciously we know that already, and
Yeah.
we're trying to save it, and we don't even realize we're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, all of us have different levels of hand-eye coordination and understand, the head and how it's going to come through impact and what that feels to us. And, that plays a role in what our body does in
Sure.
reacting. And, the next thing in the study that I realized, and I used video, it was outside, inside. The biggest thing that predicated what made one person swing steep, one person swing shallow, It was their leg length, their torso length, and their arm length.
Right.
So everyone is set up differently. You're 6'8", you have short legs, really long torso, and your arms are kind of standard to a little bit longer. So you're always going to kind of predicate to be shallow. You were in clubs that were 2 degrees upright and an inch long. So when you were trying to come through impact, the way those clubs were set up, the toe was straight up in the air.
Right.
So that made the face pointing left. You're sitting there hitting hooks. And also, too, the heel was always dragging. The toe was always high and had less drag. So,
Right.
you're sitting there on a nice flat lie, and well, we know that doesn't happen all the time in golf.
Yeah.
So especially when you had the ball like above your stance or something like that, you were fighting your off clubs. You were making a compensation.
Yeah.
It was funny because when we played, or I'm sorry, when we did your fitting, it was really fast how quickly you reacted to the change. And we made a pretty substantial change. We reduced the length. I mean, you were still over length. You were a half inch over length.
34 yards in distance in irons.
Yeah. And 4 degrees difference in lie angle change. You went from 2 degrees upright to 2 degrees flat.
Right.
And
It's crazy.
yeah. And the thing is, I tell people, well, if your body was different, right, set up differently, if your torso and your legs were flip flopped, you probably would have been more upright. You
Sure.
would have probably almost definitely been into a much longer golf club.
Yeah.
But we are what we are. Everyone's
Sure.
a little different. So it's something when you look at that, that's an aspect that comes into play as well.
I think what else is going to be cool about this program, the show that we're going to do, is we're going to help people navigate through that when they go get fit, like the right questions to ask. I think sometimes getting fit can be very overwhelming to people.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's never happened before. But knowing what to ask the fitter, and it's okay to ask, why is this working? I think some people just get handed clubs and they don't know why it works, but the guy just says, here, this is what you're supposed to have.
Well, understanding what is going on is such an important aspect because it helps you advance. This way, when things happen on the golf course, you understand what's going on. There's nothing worse than when you're hitting balls and you're having issues with directions or flight, and you're like, man, what's going on?
Yeah.
At least when you have more understanding, I think that your golf knowledge, as we become better and we play the game more, hopefully, if we're able to understand what's happening,
Right.
it makes a bigger difference.
Another cool thing about, as we give little teasers about what this show is going to be about, is we're going to do some on-course stuff and help people understand what they're looking at, whether it be a lie or why things might work this way than other ways. Like you were talking about grass and how the grass is different on the West Coast than it is on the East Coast. And here in Myrtle Beach, we have a ton of Bermuda, and we're going to teach people, learn them about how to look at a lie and what you might want. It might be in your brain, you might think, well, I need to hit a 3-wood here, but like you gave an example before, a 5-iron would have gone further because of how the lie was.
Exactly, and how
Yeah.
the ball's going to come out.
Correct.
And also, too, you and I talked about, how important the ball plays. And, seasons change. You were here in Myrtle Beach. We play golf
Sure.
year-round, but, at this time of the year, it's cooler. Most when you look at the stats out there that say this is ideal range for this club head speed, this launch and this spin, that's set for like 80 degrees
Yeah.
or something, 85. That when most studies are done, they're like in perfect conditions.
Sure.
Today it's 60. The humidity is really low, so those numbers are going to be different.
Yeah.
And if you play at a different altitude, like it's not too uncommon to see tour pros change golf balls week in, week out. I mean, I know on Strixon staffers, we have tour pros that, depending on how the course is set up, they might play one ball 1 week, and the very next week they're playing a different ball because that course has different requirements.
Right. So is that based on maybe size of green or what the green might be made out of, whether it's a bent or a Bermuda? Or
Actually, both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually the size of the greens, like, you see those longer, the big, real long golf courses, the big monsters. The greens are a little bit larger,
Yeah.
right? Greens also, too, might tend to be a little more receptive
Sure.
on courses like that because they understand that, they're hitting longer irons in.
So, just for an example, so take like the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Those those greens get baked out and they're hard like
Yeah.
concrete. So someone might use a Srixon guy or whoever, Titleist, whatever. They might use something different on that course than say Harbortown.
Absolutely. Like you could see a player might out there, they might be using an XV because they're a Z Star XV because the golf course is so long
Yeah.
and they're using such long irons to get in. And then, they go out to Harbortown where, distance is not a premium. It's that second shot. And those greens are also, too, they are small.
Yeah.
So now the premium might go towards spin. So now they might switch over to the diamond.
Sure.
The same thing with the competitor golf balls.
Yeah.
You see folks that, throughout the year and where they're going. I think I was telling you the biggest thing that we see is like when the players are going from the west coast of the U.S. to the east coast. You start that Florida swing. I mean, you'll even see the bags change. Like you'll see what their setups change.
Right.
Maybe they take a wedge out, put a hybrid in, and vice versa. And it's just, I think it's important to try and understand, or what we're trying to get across is how to take this information if you're going to go play somewhere, understand what that is, and then be able to apply it.
Sure. Especially like if you're coming down to Myrtle Beach on a golf trip, right? So like,
Absolutely.
if you're not from here, like, it might help to know what to do in Bermuda because you don't play in Bermuda a whole lot. I am so excited about doing this, and I'm really excited about the stuff we're going to do on course. And I think one of the first things we're going to try to accomplish is ball. Like, why is the golf ball so important? And I think that a ball fitting, you might even say, is just as important as club fitting.
The golf ball is the most important piece of equipment in the bag. It has the most influence, and I would say that it probably has the smallest amount of wow factor for people. Like when they walk in to get fit, they go over and they grab a driver. That's the first thing everyone
Sure.
talks about, getting fit. But the golf ball has a huge influence.
Yeah.
Good example, right? Let's say a golfer is swinging 95, 100 miles an hour, and they're using a 90 compression golf ball. And then all of a sudden they try a golf ball that has a gradient core, which is softer to harder, and it's only 70 compression. Well, now that is going to change things completely. Like, for example, if that golfer's steep and they have spin issues, well, now all of a sudden they could drop 500-600 RPMs in spin, which a lot of people would buy a $500 or $600 driver to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of aspects and a lot of things with golf balls, and I think what our goal too was to try and take this stuff out to the course and do videos so people could see the stuff in action and give them the tools to implement that into their own game,
Sure.
to do a little testing for their own game. And I think that's the whole kind of goal of this was to give you the information, but then like ways to use it and utilize it.
Right. And another thing we're going to do, another aspect of the show is we're going to do equipment testing, and not just Srixon stuff like
Yeah, we're gonna
shafts
do
and
shafts and-
all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
I think that's going to be really, really cool to another part of just helping them understand why things work the way they work, right?
Yep.
Because the shaft game now it's incredible.
That's
Like,
amazing. The technology is where it's come, and especially the last few years, we've what is happening is a lot of materials that are coming available into the golf industry. A lot of people don't realize they've been out for a long time, but the cost of them are coming down, and
Yeah.
most of this stuff is coming from the aerospace industry. So as
Sure.
it becomes cheaper and more price accessible to put it into a shaft, it's amazing what's out there, and what's especially for golfers that 20-something handicaps that don't think the ball makes a big difference, and the 15s. I can tell you that is a very important aspect of their game.
Right.
You can see the hugest impact quickly.
Yeah.
Right. And then irons, because of the turf interaction, because you are on the golf course and dealing with so many different lies, and we react to the club so much.
And when you say
I
turf
put that into-
interaction, you're talking divots and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
how the club's coming through impact. Absolutely. And then, the driver, obviously, huge role, but, I would put it number 3. I know that's going to be controversial, but, that's how
We
I
like
see
a
it.
little bit of controversy. It doesn't bother us.
The golf ball, you've heard, some people have heard Tiger Woods say it. I mean, some of the best players in the world. I mean, I'm going to say this: number one player in the world right now, Scotty Scheffler, right? So when he signed a contract with a major manufacturer, he was the very first one with that company that they allowed to use his old golf ball because he refused. He thought it was that important.
Yeah.
And I think that golfers should look at that and say, man, the golf ball is really important.
Sure.
You know, I should go out and find something. And also, too, I can't tell you how many people spend more money than they should on a golf ball
Right.
when there's performance that's like half the price for their game.
Sure.
You know,
So are guys that are with, they have deals with Titleist or Srixon or Bridgestone, all the major players. Are they still testing the other stuff too, just to see if there's an edge?
I think
Or
I think
once
so.
they're locked in, they're locked in.
Well, no, I think there's some, you know, there's some guys out there and girls out there that are constantly testing stuff, and then there's some players
Yeah.
that, like, I think Brooks Koepka is a good example. You know, I know he had a TrackMan. He had it for like a couple weeks, and then
Yeah.
he gave it to his brother.
Yeah.
You know, so there's folks that are like really into checking stuff out, and then there's
Sure.
some people like look at Fred Couples. I mean, he's got such weird stuff in his bag. Well, he had that ladies 3-wood in there forever. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just some players that are, you know, they get into something that they like. I mean, I feel like when I find something that I really like, I have a tendency of holding on to it for a
Sure.
long time. And
Yeah.
even I'll still test other things. But like when I kind of dial into something I really
Seems
like.
like tour players, 3-woods, they hang on to a long time. They don't get rid
Yeah,
of
fairway
those.
woods are
Yeah.
that thing, and then you know, wedges are kind of that way too.
Yeah, I read a
putters.
story about Freddie Couples that he carries sandpaper in his bag to to put on his grips when they feel a little slippery.
Yeah, that's an old. They
That's
guys
kinda old
back in the
school, right?
days used to do that all the time. They used
Yeah.
a little sandpaper because they didn't have access to getting gripped. All you know, a lot of people don't realize the PGA Tour back in like the early
Right.
'90s. I worked at a shop in Florida. We were right down the street from the Honda Classic, and you know there was like something happened. I mean,
They were coming to
they were
you.
coming to us. Yeah,
It wasn't just a crap ton of tour trucks out there.
Yeah,
to get
they
stuff redone.
they decided to snipe something or needed grips. They would always, you know, there was a shop that was competent. They would all stop in. So
Well, Ken, I'm excited. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna do a lot of really cool things, and
We're gonna do our best to put out 2 episodes a month. One will be kind of like this setting, and then one will be on the course, and some transition stuff from here to the course in the same video. But we hope you guys stick around, follow along. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to be able to put this together with my buddy Ken and get ready.
I think we should put out there too. The viewers have something that like a topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what? Reach out to us in the DM and let us know.
Yeah, if there's something that you want to learn, or you got a topic, you got a question, we will definitely do our best to answer those questions and
Tackle it maybe.
tackle it. Yeah,
You never know. It
head
might be
on.
something we got to go out and figure out.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun. Pretty fun.
So.
So, all right, stay tuned. It's gonna be a lot of fun as we do this through the winter, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Thanks so much.